People often say that getting older is all about slowing down, about accepting limits and letting go of the things you once could do, but that's not the whole story, not even close. Because if you're around 70 and you're still doing these seven things, you're not just aging, you're absolutely winning at life. Let's start with something simple but powerful, climbing a flight of stairs. It may not seem like much, but if you can still walk up a set of steps without having to stop halfway, if your knees don't buckle and your breath doesn't give out, that's not just a small victory, that's a big one. You see, your legs, your lower body strength are one of the first places aging tries to show up. When those muscles stay strong, it means your independence is intact. It means you're still able to carry yourself where you want to go. That's freedom, that's resilience, and it's something to be proud of. The truth is, climbing stairs isn't just a physical task. It's symbolic. It means you're still reaching upward, still taking life step by step. You haven't resigned yourself to the ground floor of life, and that matters because every time you choose to walk when you could have waited for an elevator, you're telling the world and yourself that you still have places to go, that you're not done yet. Now, think about this. When was the last time you remembered something important without checking your calendar? A name, a birthday, an appointment. If you're still sharp enough to recall those little things, those seemingly unimportant, everyday details, give yourself credit. Memory is more than just a mental skill. It's a sign your mind is alive and engaged. When you remember someone's name or what time to take your medication or where you put your glasses, it's your brain's way of saying, I'm still here and I'm still working. That's brain fitness. And it counts just as much as any bicep or balance test. Sure, names might take a little longer to surface now. Maybe you walk into a room and forget why that happens. But if you're still navigating your own life without relying on constant reminders or full-time help, that's a strength few people truly acknowledge, and you should, because your memory is the thread that ties your days together. It's the reason you still feel like you. And here's something else. If you still laugh, really laugh, you've already won half the battle. I'm talking about those deep, warm laughs that bubble up unexpectedly, the kind that start with a chuckle and end with tears in your eyes and a little ache in your ribs. If you still find joy in silly moments, if you can smile at your own quirks or laugh at a corny old movie you've seen a dozen times, that's a sign that your heart is still light, that your spirit hasn't been weighed down by the years. Don't underestimate the power of laughter. It's medicine, sure, but more than that, it's a signal that life still delights you. And that's no small thing. In a world that loves to focus on aches and ailments, being able to laugh on your own or with someone else is proof that your emotional core is still full of light. And if you have someone to share that laughter with, someone who picks up when you call or who sends you a silly text or who remembers to check in on you, that's not just good fortune. That's gold. Loneliness can creep in quietly as we age. People move, friends pass, routines change. But if you still have someone you trust, someone who hears your voice and lights up, that connection is a lifeline. Even one friend, one good neighbor, one sibling or cousin or companion who knows your stories and still wants to hear more. You're winning if your name still means something to someone else, if your presence still matters in someone's day, and if you've got the kind of heart that others want in their life, you've already succeeded in ways that no bank account or trophy shelf could measure. Now let's talk about something that too many people take for granted, being able to cook for yourself. If you're 70 or beyond and you're still in your kitchen, picking your ingredients, choosing what you want to eat, preparing a favorite recipe, or even just frying an egg, that's not just about food. That's about self-reliance. That's about independence. That's about dignity. Cooking is an act of care. When you do it for yourself, you're saying, I still matter. I'm worth nourishing. I'm capable of creating something with my own two hands. And if you're cooking for someone else, that's love in motion. You might not throw big dinner parties anymore. Maybe you've downsized your pantry or simplified your meals. But if you're still at the stove now and then, even for just a small, quiet meal, you're still writing your own story, one plate at a time. And that brings us to something even more intimate, something no one really sees, but that means everything. Being able to get yourself clean and dressed. It might sound basic, but if you can still take a shower, brush your teeth, pick out clothes you like, and dress yourself for the day, you are holding on to something sacred: your autonomy, your privacy, your ability to decide how you present yourself to the world. Self-care isn't about looking fancy. It's about control. It's about being able to say, I'm not ready for someone else to take over. I've still got this. And if you do, even if it takes a little longer than it used to, that's a victory that deserves more applause than most people realize. And let's pause here because I want to ask you something that's deeply personal. Is there something you're still looking forward to? Maybe it's a weekly walk with a neighbor. Maybe it's tending to a plant you love, a phone call from a grandchild, the next sunrise, the next episode of your favorite show. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. If you have something, even just one thing, that makes you feel like tomorrow is worth reaching for, then your heart is still leaning forward. And that's everything, because the real secret to winning at 70 isn't about chasing youth or clinging to old titles. It's not about denying age or pretending nothing's changed. It's about noticing all the things you still can do and realizing just how rich those things really are. You see, we're often taught to measure life by what we've achieved: titles, wealth, accomplishments. But at 70, the real triumph is in what you still do, what you still feel, what you still look forward to. These aren't small things. These are everything, because the older you get, the more the world tries to count you out. Advertisements speak to youth, workplaces prioritize the new, even conversations can make you feel invisible. But every single day you get up and show the world that you're still here, still moving, still thinking, still laughing. That's a quiet kind of defiance, and it's beautiful. People don't realize just how heroic the small things are: getting dressed when your joints ache, smiling through a memory that stings a little, taking your time up those stairs even if your legs are tired. That's not weakness. That's strength in its truest form. You keep showing up for life even when it's not easy, and that's what makes you extraordinary. Let's go back to that simple laugh. Maybe it comes while watching a grandchild dance around the living room, or when you remember something silly your spouse said 20 years ago. Maybe it just slips out when a neighbor tells a corny joke. That laugh isn't just sound, it's proof you're still connected to joy, that after everything life has handed you, joy still finds a way through. And if you're able to laugh, then your heart is still open. That alone is worth celebrating. And when you're able to pick up the phone and call someone, or better yet, when someone calls you, that's connection. That's the beating heart of life itself. If you're still part of someone's circle, still woven into the fabric of another person's day, that's not luck. That's legacy. That means you've built something real. Think about it. In a time when so many people feel forgotten or left behind, your voice still matters. Your presence still brings comfort. Maybe it's your child who reaches out, or an old friend who still sends birthday cards. Maybe it's someone younger who sees you as a mentor. Whatever the case, if there's someone out there who still sees your name and smiles, that's a kind of wealth the world can't measure. And let's not forget the dignity in the daily rhythm: preparing your own meal, even if it's just toast and tea, washing your face, brushing your hair. These routines are anchors. They remind you that you are still capable, still in charge of how your life looks and feels. You're still participating, and that participation is everything. There's something sacred about independence, not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that lets you move through your day on your own terms, to choose what you wear, to decide when you rest, to eat when you're hungry, not just when someone brings food. That's power, quiet, gentle power. And if you still have it, hold it close. It's a gift. So many people underestimate what it means to do the basics. But the basics, when done with intention and perseverance, are acts of grace. If you're still making your own bed, you're not just tidying up, you're starting your day with purpose. If you're still opening your mail, reading your paper, watering your plants, those are all signs of life, of engagement, of choosing to keep living, not just existing. And maybe you don't do everything you used to. That's okay. Maybe you don't move as fast or lift as much. But if you're still trying, if you're still giving your best to the day ahead, you're winning. You might not run anymore, but you walk. You might forget a name here and there, but your stories are still vivid. You might Eat smaller meals now, but every bite is still seasoned with experience. That matters. You've seen so much, lived through so much, and you're still here. That's not just survival, that's strength. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are a living library of moments, first loves, hard lessons, small miracles. And if you're still able to share even one of those stories, to pass along one piece of wisdom, to remind someone younger what really matters in this life, then your value is not just intact, it's immeasurable. You don't need to be climbing mountains to be a success. You just need to be climbing the stairs in your own home with pride. You don't need to memorize everything. Just remember what matters most. You don't need to host a party to stay connected. Sometimes one heartfelt conversation is more than enough. And you don't need to chase some artificial idea of youth. You are not less because you are older. You are more experienced, more grounded, more deeply aware of what's important and what can be let go. That's the gift of 70, of being here now and realizing that what you still do is the best part of the story, not what's behind you, not what's gone, but what remains. You still move, you still think, you still care, you still love, you still wake up each morning and face the day, however it may come. That alone makes you remarkable. And if there's still something that excites you, something you can't wait to see or hear or touch, then your soul is still dancing. Maybe it's your garden about to bloom. Maybe it's a phone call with an old friend. Maybe it's simply sitting by the window, coffee in hand, watching the light change across the trees. That anticipation, that forward tilt is proof that life still whispers to you that you still have a part to play in this grand unfolding moment. So don't let anyone measure your life by numbers or labels, not your age, not your income, not the title you used to hold. Measure it instead by the stairs you still climb, the names you still remember, the joy you still feel, the hands you still hold, the meals you still make, the choices you still make for yourself, and the dreams that still stir in your chest when the world is quiet. Because if you're 70 and you can still do these 7 things, even some of them, you're not just doing well, you're winning at life in ways most people don't even recognize. There's something powerful about knowing you've come this far and still have something left to give. Not just wisdom, but warmth, not just memories, but meaning. If your days are filled with even small intentions, a choice to walk instead of sit, to smile instead of sigh, to listen instead of hurry, then you are writing a life of quiet greatness. You've earned your rest, yes, but you've also earned your right to still be active, to still be curious, to still be moved. The truth is, most people spend their lives chasing things that don't last, status, approval, the perfect plan. But you've come to understand the value of something far more enduring, presence, showing up for your life, being here even when the world gets loud or your body gets tired. And if you're 70 or somewhere close to it, and you can still find beauty in a morning breeze or comfort in your own routine, then you're living with the kind of grace that can't be taught, can only be lived. You don't need to prove anything. You already have. Look at what your life has weathered. Disappointments, goodbyes, the kind of change that shakes the ground beneath you. And yet here you are, still standing, still hoping, still loving in your own way. That's not just survival. That's the art of aging well. If you've loved deeply and lost deeply and still find the strength to open your heart again, you are walking proof that the human spirit can stretch far beyond what we imagine. If you've been through heartache and still find time to be gentle with someone else's pain, then you're living from a place of strength the world needs more of. And let's be honest, some days are harder than others. There are mornings when the body feels stiff, when the hands aren't as steady, when the memory fumbles and you wonder where the time has gone. But then there's that moment. You find your balance, you step into your slippers, you make your tea, you begin again. That beginning, no matter how quiet, is a kind of triumph. So if today you moved your body, even just a little, you're ahead. If you looked forward to something, no matter how small, you're ahead. If you reached out to someone or allowed them to reach you, then today was a victory. Because this stage of life isn't the ending so many people imagine. It's a distillation. The unnecessary falls away. What remains is what matters. And if you're 70 and still filled with stories, still connected to purpose, still able to give a little love, then what you have is not a smaller life, but a more refined one. A life with clarity, a life with deeper meaning in the everyday. A walk is no longer just a walk, it's a statement of your independence. A phone call isn't just routine, it's a lifeline of connection. A laugh isn't just noise, it's a reminder that joy still lives here. You don't need an audience to live a good life. You just need awareness, gratitude, a little courage in the quiet moments. And if you're 70 and still doing the things that anchor your days, still moving, thinking, laughing, cooking, connecting, dreaming, then you are not aging out of life. You are aging deeper into it. There's a certain light that only comes with time. It's softer, yes, but also more truthful. It sees what matters and lets go of what doesn't. It doesn't race. It doesn't boast. It simply shines where it stands. And that's what you are doing, shining in place. Not because of what you've lost, but because of what you've held on to. Your will, your humor, your capacity for love. And maybe, just maybe, you don't realize what an inspiration you are. Because you're not performing, you're just living honestly. But there's someone watching, a younger person who sees your resilience and wonders how you do it. A neighbor who sees your consistency and finds comfort in it. A friend who leans on your wisdom more than they'll ever admit. So don't doubt the impact of your presence. You've come through decades of living, of adapting, of caring. You've witnessed the world change around you, and in many ways, you've changed with it. But you've kept something intact, that inner compass, the part of you that still wants to grow, still wants to matter. That's rare. That's worthy of recognition. And no matter what aches or slows or shifts as the years continue, remember this. If you can still do these 7 things, if you can climb, remember, laugh, connect, care for yourself, nourish your body, and look forward, then you're already rich in the ways that count. You are not falling behind. You're walking your path, one meaningful step at a time, and the road may not be as long as it once was, but it's deeper now. Every step is full of memory, of choices made and lessons earned. Every breath is a page in a story that others will one day cherish. This is your time to live gently and bravely, to savor, to choose joy when you can, to rest when you need to, and to honor your life not because of what it once was, but because of what it still is. So let this be your reminder, not just today, but every day. You're not just aging, you're evolving, you're refining, you're still moving through this world with purpose. And if you can still do even one of these 7 things, you're not only doing well, you're doing beautifully. Because winning at life at 70 isn't about being the fastest or the sharpest or the strongest. It's about being here, present, capable, connected, grateful, alive in the smallest, richest moments. And that, in every way that matters, is what success really looks like.